My all-time favorite plant for any landscape are hydrangeas. Hydrangeas' big, beautiful blooms and hardiness to a variety of soil and sun conditions make it a very popular plant to have in the landscape. In general, most hydrangeas thrive well in partial sun and well-drained soils. They love to be in zones 4 through 9, which covers most of the continental US, except far north. Hydrangeas range in colors from blues to purples to pinks to whites. So when you have a blue flower head, the soil is more acidic, and when you have a more pink flower head, the soil is more basic or alkaline. I get asked all the time how to take care of your hydrangeas. When do they need to be pruned? What kind of soil? What kind of sunlight conditions? It's all different for each cultivar, so you really have to know which plant you have and how to care for that specific one. There are 5 different kinds of hydrangeas that I want to break down for you. The most common hydrangea is Hydrangea macrophylla, a bigleaf hydrangea. They typically have 2 types of flower heads. There's a mop head, which is rounded, and then there's lace cap, which the flowers are flatter on top. So most big leaf hydrangeas bloom on old wood. In this case, we have an endless summer hydrangea, which was created to bloom on new and old wood. You can see here, this is where the old wood is hardened off, and this bright green is the new growth. The best time to prune usually is after flower heads are spent. So you take your pruners, and I'm not gonna cut this because we're in full season right now. In this case, for this plant, I'd take it back to the 3rd set of leaves. You cut it right here, right above the nodes of the new leaves for the next year. I like to use big leaf hydrangeas in my landscape plans, whether it's a foundation planting, as a focal point, or even a hedge. They're just such a high-performing, beautiful plant. This is a Hydrangea aborescens, known as a smooth hydrangea. The leaves are a little bit different. It has a very smooth texture to it. The flower heads go from this limey green to this white. I use it in the landscapes in more shaded, dappled areas, dappled sunlight. It can take a little bit more shade and does really well. Another unique characteristic about this plant is at the end of the season, you could cut it to the ground because you could treat it like it's a perennial. Another great accent plant that performs really well in your landscape. This is a Hydrangea Paniculata, known as the Panicle Hydrangea. Panicle stands for the shape of the flower. It's kind of like a cone shape. It's this limey green going to brilliant white. The best time to prune this is in late winter or early spring. You want to prune it before the leaves emerge because that's how the new flower buds are set. I like to use it as a focal point, and it's stunning as a hedgerow. So this is a Hydrangea Corsifolia, known as an Oakleaf Hydrangea. It has this oak-shaped leaf. It blooms on the earlier side in the hydrangea world. It blooms in June, kind of ends around July. So when it's done blooming, the best thing to do is cut off the spent flower heads. That's the time because it blooms on old wood. Now in the landscape, shade gardens, I love using them there. They perform really well, and it really has amazing fall foliage. It's purples and oranges and reds just bleeds into each other. So definitely one of my favorite plants, and it's native. This is a Hydrangea Petiolaris. It's not a shrub, it's a vine. And what it does is fills in these voids and spaces. If you want a vine to climb up a wall or stone wall or a fence, it has these little aerial roots on the bottom side. And what they do is they have feet and they attach themselves and secure themselves to the wall or fence. It blooms in June and July, a beautiful flat white flower, but it also blooms on old wood. So the time to prune it is right after it flowers. With multiple varieties and bloom times, there's a hydrangea for every house style and landscape. And once you know what variety you have, they're easy to take care of and they're an amazing addition to your garden.
All right, Jen, hydrangeas, as we now know, everyone loves them, but we get so many questions about why don't they bloom sometimes?
Well, there's 2 reasons. Usually weather and improper pruning.
Okay.
Weather, think of really, really warm week in March and everything starts to slowly emerge and come alive, and then the cold snap comes in and it freezes and burns those brand new flower buds that have been waiting all year to come back.
So it tricks the plant. They wake up and then they get whacked with the cold.
Exactly.
So that could cause these beautiful blooms not to come out.
But usually, typically, it's improper pruning. You really have to know your hydrangea, what kind you have. There are several different kinds. This is a Panicle Hydrangea. It's a fall bloomer, and when you cut this one back, it's in late winter, early spring, before the new growth emerges.
December? February?
No, February, late February. You gotta, in New England, late February, you have to watch the weather, see when it's gonna start to push out growth. But that's the time to prune it to ensure, because this blooms off of new wood. So what you do, take off last year's growth, you go down to, say, this leaf right here, and see where those buds are?
Yep.
Those are the new ones coming out, and those will set for...
This is a bud right there.
Yep, there's a one on either side of this leaf. So what you want to do is cut right above it.
Yep.
And make a nice clean cut.
So away goes the old.
Yep, this is where the new growth is going to push from, and you'll get your flowers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Another great thing, an important thing, it's the time that you want to shape it. So say on this one is a random tall guy, and if you want to contain your plant, you could really take half of this plant down, right? So I'm noticing here, there doesn't look like there are any healthy buds. So what I'm going to do is follow this all the way down, and I'm going to take it back right near the base.
So you just take this one completely out.
Yes, just like that.
Now, will we get any new growth there? Will this try to come back?
Yes, and so you're going to have a nice full plant, and when you're done pruning, and you could create the shape, and then new growth is going to push out of all those new cut marks.
Right. And again, just so everyone's clear, I mean, pruning at the right time and the right way is key. Know which hydrangea you're working on, and I'll tell you when you've got to prune it.
Right, so when you buy it from the nursery, save the tags, write it down. Is it an oak leaf? Is it a big leaf? Is it a climbing hydrangea? There's so many varieties.
Right.
Just inform yourself.
All right, great information, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then we're going to dry
you
these.
can take that home.
Thank you.
Aw.
Dry them and make them look good. Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.